The gentleman yields back. The gentlewoman from Illinois is recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for holding this hearing today on the critical issue of maintaining the integrity of our voter rolls, or in the case of Illinois, restoring the integrity of our voter rolls. Ensuring that voter rolls are accurate and contain only eligible voters is essential to the public's confidence in our elections. For far too long, states like Illinois have failed to uphold the law and carry out their responsibilities under the National Voter Registration Act. I was pleased to see that the Department of Justice recently filed a statement of interest in Judicial Watch's lawsuit against the Illinois State Board of Elections. As noted in Judicial Watch's lawsuit, Illinois has refused to develop a statewide program for voter roll maintenance. In fact, the DOJ intervention in Illinois found, according to the 2022 Election Administration Voting Survey conducted by the Election Assistance Commission, unbelievably, 34 jurisdictions in Illinois simply failed to report any data regarding list maintenance removals under the National Voter Registration Act. 19 of these 34 counties failed to report any data regarding registrants removed due to death, meaning no one died in 19 counties. Do we believe that? And then obviously we're keeping these people on the voter rolls. In 23 Illinois counties, fewer than 100 registrations were canceled during a 2-year period out of almost 1 million registrations, which Judicial Watch notes is an absurdly small number and demonstrates Illinois' lack of commitment to maintain clean voter rolls under the NVRA. As this committee is well aware, Illinois has a history of voting irregularities, and I appreciate the opportunity to highlight this important issue today. So, Mr. Adams, what is required under the reasonable effort standard for voter list maintenance?
Well, almost nothing, and that's what, in my written testimony, you'll find the Sixth Circuit Court of Appeals ruled. If you have a program, it's good enough. It doesn't matter if the proof is in the pudding. It doesn't matter if it's effective. One thing Congress might do on the data that you just talked about, Congressman Miller, is when I was at the Justice Department, I brought the case of United States versus Alabama, and I brought the case of United States versus Vermont. And those two states were not reporting the data that you were just talking about, but it's only for UOCAVA voters, for military voters. There's no obligation in the statute to report those data for regular voters. Congress just left out regular voters when they did the NVRA for the EVE survey. That's what you're referring to. It's EVE, the Election Assistance Commission. You might extend that to the entire survey, that states have to do that. It's optional. They don't have to report any data unless it's a military voter.
Well, that's why we're having this hearing, to highlight this and to make changes. So, Mr. Reamer, as a former Virginia State Board of Elections official, how do election officials traditionally prescribe regulations to conduct voter list maintenance?
Absolutely. It is a combination of statutory obligations that the General Assembly in Virginia set, which complement the NVRA. And while I was in Virginia, Governor McDonnell was very aggressive about beefing up the statutory provisions that we had to follow. We had to do annual reports to the General Assembly outlining in detail our list maintenance activities. There were more frequent checks that we had to make as well. The issue I brought up about finding the 10,000 dead voters on our voter rolls that had been there for so long, that's something that should have been caught, but no one had ever gone back and say, let's take a look at the entire death file and compare it against the voter registration list. Everyone just assumed that these periodic comparisons were catching all the dead voters, but they weren't. And for some reason, we had this large pile of them on there. So these were all things that were enshrined in the law that we had to follow. And I think a lot of states could use more statutes and more regulations, just being more prescriptive in what they need to do.
So how often did the state direct appropriate departments or officials to remove ineligible voter registrants?
As frequently as possible. As frequently as possible. We made a major cancellation leading up to the 2013 general election, promptly got sued. We got sued several times on list maintenance issues because of how aggressive we were in the state.
Thank you for your work. Thank you, Chairman.